In this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to the concepts of blueprints with really the most simple way to kind of get into it. So inside my scene here, I want to start getting some specific sort of lighting to go with sort of this sort of Roman theme we have. So I'm going to drag this brazier into the scene. All right, so there's my brazier. And I want to put a fire with it. So I'm going to come over here to the top of content and type in fire. Now, if you made your scene with starter content, you will have access to this particle fire, which I'm just going to drag in. All right, so here's this particle fire. For the arrangement I'm doing right now, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid, or a snap. I'm going to move here and go to my top view, maximize that. And I just want to make sure that the origin of the fire is centered. There we go. Now I'm just going to rotate it so that the wind direction is going out this way. Right, that's what the green arrow means on it. And now here, I'm going to go over to move. Oops, I'm going to move, and I'm just going to raise it up so that the fire's kind of sitting in the bowl. All right. Now the fire in and of itself does not actually cast light. So because it doesn't cast light, what I need to do is I'm going to come over to create lights, and I just want to drag a point light in. Right. Now with this light, I'm actually going to take this light and set it to be static, right? Because you can have an unlimited number of static lights. The default is stationary. Those you actually have a limited number. You can only put so many stationary lights in the scene, so you got to kind of watch out. Alright, so I'm going to move this guy over, center him, and I'm going to raise him up so that the light's actually coming from inside this bowl. Now what you're seeing right now is dynamic lighting. When we actually finish our lighting, we're going to have it be more of a baked light scenario that comes out. So I'm going to raise him up a little bit. I can come in here and change the color of it to make it a little bit warmer. Hit OK. Alright, so now I have these three objects, and so traditionally I would need to go through, select all three, and move them around by selecting them. What I really want to do though is I'm going to select the brazier, the particle. Now, I got to very carefully figure out how to select that light. I'm going to hide the particle, and now Control H to unhide it. Now I can actually select the particle, and then I select the brazier. If I come up here to blueprints, I'm going to do convert selected components to a blueprint class. And now it's going to ask me, where do I want to save this? Because I'm creating this new type of thing called a blueprint. And so I'm going to put it in the same folder. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it, brazier A. And at the beginning I'll do BP underscore for blueprint. I'm going to click create blueprint. And now this opens up the blueprint editor. Now you can see here's the grid, and so it based everything off of the position of the particle. So what I want to do is I'm going to take my different components, and I actually want to raise all them up so that they're actually sitting with their base at 0 in the world. There we go. I could even select just this one object in here and enter 0 for the height, and now he's in place. If I want to, I could go through and select the different components and adjust their positions individually here over under this shared location. Now when I hit save, it's going to save that. I close. Alright, and so this guy, I just got to lower him back down so he's sitting in the same location. This guy was sitting at 0, so I could take this blueprint and put that at 0. So now you see I have, if I hover, it says that this is a static mesh. If I hover over the next one next to it, that's a blueprint. And so I'm going to save those guys, but now anytime I want to place one, I just drag this into the scene, and it includes both a light and fire. And so I could go through and I could place these inside my scene. Right, which is pretty nice because now I have this pre-built lighting scenario that I could drop in. anywhere that I want it. So if I find out that at some point I need to make a change, if I want to change something, the blueprint is referencing all these different components. So if there was something that I wanted to change, like say for example, let's do an import, and I'm going to import another set of textures for my brazier here. So let's turn off the sRGB, save it. And I'm just going to duplicate the material and call this worn. Let's open that up. And I'm going to override each of the textures with this alternate version that I baked out. Okay. So we'll come in here, I'm going to overwrite the base color. I'm going to override the AORM, and I'm going to override the normal. So if I hit save, I'm just going to save that off. And now if I open up the brazier, right, maybe I don't like this gold as much. Maybe I want to go with that different material. What I can do is just come over here and override it, hit save, and you'll see that all those blueprints which reference that model have now have that override on top of them. Okay. So, oops, I accidentally had him selected. And if I want to make a change, like say I wanted to adjust the position of the light, maybe I want the light to be a little bit brighter, I double click to open up the blueprint, and if I go over to viewport, I just select the light, and say I wanted to be brighter, I could type in 16 for his intensity and hit save. And you'll see that now the light itself is even brighter. I could even come in here and I can continue to make adjustments to it. If I have that light component, I can increase the attenuation, make it go wider. If I hit save, then that change happens to all of those different instances of it. All right, that gets propagated out to every single one, right? Any change you make here in the blueprint gets changed to every other instance of it, right? So that's how you work with blueprint, and really you could do that with anything. If you remember, we made weapon racks. With the weapon racks, you could do the same thing where you arrange a scene where you have your weapon rack with the swords in it and the shield, and you can make a blueprint, and you could always go in and tune and adjust it. So really that's it. That's the basic process of setting up a blueprint.